Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Williamson County Coaches Preview Show. I'm Jack Daniels, your host, and with me for tonight's game are the head football coaches at Ravenwood High School, Coach Will Hester, and the head football coach at Franklin High School, Coach Donnie Webb. Welcome, coaches.
Thank you.
Jack. You know, I thought about changing this show, Coach Webb, and calling it the Donnie Webb Show since you've been here about 3 or 4 weeks in a row now. We're going to give you a break next week, but
All right.
I'm going to start with Coach Hester since he hadn't been here for a little while. And Coach Hester, we're going to back up to the last game you were here on the set, and that was the Independence game. And we're going to show the play of the week with a young man, number 19, Daniel Fountain. All right, and we'll let the viewers see that play, and then we're going to come back and let you talk about that run he made on that play.
As he's matched up one-on-one down there on the top of your screen with Jefferson. Stick with the run game. And he is going to be, oh my goodness, he's going to escape. That's your man Fountain.
Well,
Daniel Fontaine.
Okay, Fountain. He'll be Fontaine, but he keeps running like that.
Oh my. That could be our WCTV play of the week.
Watch this.
What you got, Coach?
And now you got guys, the jerseys hanging on, they're getting there, and nobody's wrapping up. They're trying to what I call forearm and bump him down. And good runners, you can't do that. He has good balance, he's got good legs, strong legs, and he just pulls out of it. You've got to wrap him up to tackle him. He's a hard runner.
All right, Coach, as we talk about number 19, Daniel Fountain, the kid had to break about 4 or 5 tackles on that run. Talk about that.
Well, I mean, absolutely. He's a character kid for us. He's a senior, moved in from Connecticut back in the dead period. He's coming off a catastrophic knee injury where our athletic trainer has seen his MRI and says it's basically needs to be replaced. He needs a knee replacement, basically. Looks like a 80 or 90-year-old man's knee, he says. So, you know, he has a lot of heart, a lot of desire. He runs with a limp. But, you know, as in that play right there, it's hard to get him down, you know. And it's basically a Roger Craig type run. You know, he just wanted to get to the end zone and was able to.
Mm-hmm. Now, you said he moved in from where?
Connecticut.
Connecticut. Well, that's you know, when you think of Connecticut, in my mind, we don't think about a whole lot about, you know, high school football and that kind of stuff. But getting a surprise like that, and then you had another young man who moved in, who's a wide receiver, young man named Jefferson.
Yeah, he's not a bad wide receiver. It's been a plus to the program for him to be here. But, you know, obviously fans get a lot of attention and well-deserved. He comes from a great family. His parents have done a wonderful job of raising him. And he's a better kid than he is football player. And he's added a lot to our locker room as far as a leader goes. And how he competes at practice is kind of, I truly believe, helped us, you know, get to where we are, that he's made everybody's game kind of rise up. And, you know, and fans, he's going to get his due.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk about how the last 3 or 4 weeks have gone for you and how you guys just kind of back up to the Independence game. Tell us about that game and then the next couple of games, and then we'll talk about last Friday night's game.
Well, the Independence game was a big game for us. You know, just like every coach, you know, definitely don't want to play a good region opponent or district opponent on homecoming, but it was homecoming for us. You know, we were able to win the turnover battle. I think that was a big deal, the key to the game. And, you know, we scored some points when we had opportunities, and then were able to run the ball efficiently enough to run the clock out at the end of the game. Then the next week we went to Overton, which ended up playing our second overtime game of the year against a very strong Overton team who you know, runs the football very, very efficiently with 2 great players that they have, and made the decision to go for 2 in overtime to try to win the game there, and came up a little short, so that's our lone loss of the season. Then went to Centennial the next week. And you know, it's a hard-fought high school football game against 2 good football teams, 2 playoff caliber football teams, and we were able to get out on them early, and we needed every point of it because they came storming back in the second half, and then it was kind of whoever had the ball last. We were able to get a turnover late to kind of, you know, ice the game, if you will. And then last week on Thursday night, Dixon County never liked the short week, but our kids. You know, I was concerned about our effort, you know, kind of sandwiched between the Centennial and the Franklin games. But our kids did a good job of not looking beyond Dixon County, who's, you know, down a little bit this year. And we came out and executed well at a high level early in the game. And we were kind of able to put that one away so that we could play some other people. So it's been a good little run for us.
Mm-hmm. I want to go back up to that Overton game and that running back. I think that kid's a junior, if I'm not mistaken.
I think the quarterback, defensive back, is a junior. The tailback's a senior. Martin,
he's a senior.
Justin Martin. Yep.
I heard other coaches mention that he may be one of the better ones they've seen in the area. Do you kind of agree with that?
He's very explosive. You know, he's the defending 200-meter state champion in track and field. When he gets in open grass, there's nobody around here that can run with him. Coach Rector made the statement before we played him that he was the fastest kid he had seen, you know, up close and personal in pads. So, yeah, I mean, and they have a good scheme. You know, they're going to get in two tights and empty the backfield and use the quarterback and jet motion, all that kind of stuff, run the jet power and all that. So they've got a pretty nasty scheme to put those two good athletes in.
Mm-hmm. Well, Coach Webb, let's go back to last Thursday night. Everybody played on a Thursday night last week in our county because of fall break, and talk about the game at Summit High School.
We did get good. Can't speak today.
That's all right, Coach.
We would have seen it on the broadcast because it was one that was broadcasted, and we did go ahead and get the victory. Unlike what Will was talking about, I thought we kind of went out there. I don't want to take anything away from Summit because they took it to us, and I felt like, you know, we kind of stood around and did not match their intensity. Once we did, I thought the game started to settle down, and we were able to play a lot of young folks in the second half, and it worked out good for us in the fact that we played week 0 and have kind of played straight through, and so I felt like, you know, we were able to get some kids out. We do have some normal bumps and bruises that anybody has this time of year, and we were able to get some good playing time for some young kids, and hopefully then that extra day on Friday get a little rest for some of them upper skill.
Well, Coach, we're going to show a clip of the play of the week of last week, and it's the kid's name is can't remember his name, but it's number 30.
Nick Hutchins.
He intercepts the pass, and we'll let the viewers watch that play right now.
He's going to throw. He's got a man, and it is picked off by number 30.
Yep.
That is Nick Hutchins.
He's called his name a lot.
No doubt about it, and none bigger than that touchdown right there. You know, Hunter, not a comfortable passer, drops back, had time. I believe he had Austin, but not the best throw.
And Hunter did a nice job dropping back. Not a bad throw, but Austin, you see him got bent back right there. And the knee just buckled, but yeah, Hutchins. Tremendous job.
He's a big man.
Nick Hutchins, I believe, is a baseball player as well, and he's pretty good. And
He 6'2", 205 linebacker. That's a big man running around back there.
absolutely.
All right, if you could kind of describe maybe a little bit what kind of defensive set you were in, and I know it was early in the third quarter right there, and it's a 28-6 game, and he makes a big play for you.
He did. They pretty much sprint pass most of the night, and D started to his right. I think he was going to try to throw back across, and what most people won't really see is the safety. You know, Nick did a really good job of coming underneath the route, got the interception, and then from there it was pretty much he had, you know, one guy to basically get to the end zone. It was a great play by him, but the safety made a really good play on the contact that was coming at the same time.
Right.
You know, Ross Gardner, I believe. Yes, it was Ross Gardner because he would have been that safety. Came down, made a really good play, but Nick came underneath the route and was able to get the interception, take it for a touchdown.
Will, I'm going to go back to you before we talk about tonight's game. Let's kind of back up and kind of fill us in on how your freshman and JV squads have kind of been doing up to this point this year.
Started out a little slow with the freshman group. We've only got about 38 or 40 out with the freshman group, but you know, we played some good competition early. We played Smyrna and some other people early, and it was difficult for us. But our freshmen have won the last two, beating Centennial and Dixon. So we've got some, we think, really nice players in that group. Hopefully, we'll be able to keep 30 or 35 of them out. That's our goal, to keep 30 a year. If we can do that a year, then obviously we're going to be right where we want to be. And then our JV team's played really, really well. We're only playing sophomores on JV, and I think it's benefited us. We have a big group there. We feel like it's a very talented group. We got a lot of skill in that class. So Our JV team's only lost one game. They've played really, really well. So real happy with where the JV team's at.
How do you break up practice then? When your practice, the freshmen, totally separate?
No, we practice everybody together.
Everybody is
So
together?
we're basically, if we're not doing kicking at the time, we'll be split into two groups. We kind of call them the old group and the young group. We have junior, seniors on one half the field, freshmen, sophomores on the other half the field, and it's an offense-defense thing. So they're doing one or the other. We get about 45 or 50 minutes of each a day, and we'll flip sides. And our quarterback coach coaches every quarterback in the program. Our receiver coach coaches every receiver in the program. And we have the big groups, the receivers, the defensive backs, the offensive linemen. We have two coaches at those groups so that we can split the numbers up. But we feel like if we are all speaking the same language, there'll be more carryover as those kids age.
Now, do you dress everybody on Friday night then?
We don't dress the freshmen. We'll dress 10 through 12.
Okay. And do you have any sophomores that filter on to help you out on Friday night?
We've had a kicker that started most of the year as our place kicker as a sophomore. We've got a tailback, Chris Rowland, who's played some as a sophomore. He's probably, he splits time with his brother at tailback for us. So, we've had some sophomores contribute.
Donnie, do you practice your freshmen up there with your?
There was. It's very similar to
Okay.
what Will was talking about. Our freshman numbers was not as high this year, and I think and with some injuries, we're now at about 30 that are dressed. We were at about 35 that started, and had some bumps with those young men, and they've done well. We actually, the team we played last week asked us to play a 9th, 10th grade game, and so instead of playing two like we've been doing, and so we just took the 10th graders, put them with the 9th, and if you count that with the freshmen, that would have made them 5-1. We feel like they're a good group, just not many of them, and you worry about attrition and losing some, because you want to keep the number like Will was talking about. When you're already sitting at that number, it's going to be a job for us to keep them involved in part of the program, because we do think there's some good players in there.
Now, Will's talked about some kid who's moved in, transfers in this year. Did you have anybody new show up that you wasn't expecting this year?
Yes, we got 2 of them.
Okay.
And then both of them have been contributors.
Okay.
We had one that was an in-county move, Malik Grimes, and then Parker Pinnell. He had a family issue with it's actually worked. It's going to sound bad. It worked out for him, but his dad had a family member that was about to pass, and he did go on and pass, and they moved him in here, and so his dad was able to spend some time with that family member before he passed away.
Okay.
So, but and I will say for Franklin High School, Parker's been a great, especially when Garrison Matthews got hurt.
Right.
Parker's kind of stepped in and been the starter there.
So one thing I found about our county ever since I've been here is that you can almost look for very transit community, a lot of people moving in, but then sometimes people do move out and leave you, but it seems like we get more coming in than what we lose out. Well, Will, let's talk about tonight's game and kind of give us, because, both teams are undefeated in the district. You guys don't like to look ahead, but probably whoever wins this game tonight is definitely in the driver's seat for the district championship. So kind of give us a scouting report on the Franklin High School Rebels.
We feel like schematically it's probably the toughest run game that we face, as far as the different things that they'll do in the run game and the bind that it puts you in. A lot of zone scheme stuff, a lot of bootleg, a lot of play action, nakeds, that sort of stuff. So we're going to have to be very disciplined on defense. We're going to have to play our assignment as in every week, be where we're supposed to be, that sort of stuff. And then, our offense versus their defense is, very sound defense. Probably going to see a little more pressure than we've seen from most teams. They do a good job of attacking, protections and things of that nature. So we're going to have to kind of be on point. Probably done more of simplifying our stuff this week to make sure that we can execute everything as well as not going to the game with too much and not being real efficient with it. We feel like we're going to have to be efficient, value the ball and not turn it over just like any week, and give ourselves a chance to win.
Coach Webb, give us a scouting report on Ravenwood.
Very first thing I noticed right off the bat was very similar to us, and what I mean by that is the turnover ratio. They do an unbelievable job of getting turnovers and not producing turnovers or causing them themselves. And we've been fortunate there as well. I'm not exactly sure what it's somewhere around +8 or 9 is where we are. And I watching film, that's what's happening with Ravenwood as well. And it's been good. It's been good for both of us. Offensively, I think what's most difficult. Everyone wants to talk about Jefferson out there. I think 6 is a really good receiver. The other receiver. They do have some good receivers, but the bottom line is they can run the football, and they're very, very balanced. We've got to be able to, just like every defense coach, you want to try to make them one-dimensional so that we can bring pressure, and so that's you got to stop the run, and they do a good job of running the football. I think that's overlooked when you have big receivers, and I think it gets overlooked at what they're actually trying to do is run the ball. Defensively, very sound, very similar to some schemes we've seen because of the 50, but they do a good job with it. You can figure out what you think, what's happening, what they're going to bring, but then all of a sudden they'll change it up, slant the other way, move the other way. They do a good job with it, and have kids. Obviously, if you're getting that many turnovers, you got getting a lot of hats to the ball.
So a breakdown on them on the offensive side. You think they're more 60-40 as far as run versus their pass, or are they more heavy run than that?
No, they are 50-50.
Oh, they 50-50 on down the line.
Now, when we look at a game, for example, the Dixon game, there's a point where you
got to turn it off and go
so
on.
If you punch it in huddle, it doesn't remember that part of it. You got to go manipulate it to look at some different things. But they really truly do want to be balanced, and it's obvious. But those running backs get overlooked when you've got really good receivers, and they got some good players back there in that backfield.
Coach Hester, they 60-40, 50-50. I don't think they're 50-50, are they?
No, I mean, it's pretty close, though. I mean, it's within a few percentage points, but just, it's the nature of the game. Last week we were ahead, last week they were ahead. Your clock's running, you're trying to run the clock out and things of that nature. We feel like they've got one of the best quarterbacks in the league. We've talked from the get-go that Joe Critchlow is a good quarterback, so it makes him very dangerous. Humongous tight ends running around the middle of the field, making big plays on people. So, very dangerous on offense, and then just very sound on defense.
Who has to play well for you tonight in order to have an opportunity to win this football game?
I think our offensive line has to play well for us. They've done a good job all year. I mean, they're kind of a much maligned group. When you see them get off the bus, you're going to be like, really? Those guys are playing the offensive line in 6A football? But they do a good job of getting to where they're supposed to be. So they're going to have to play well for us. And then just like any week, your quarterback's got to play well, got to make good decisions, can't put you in a bind there. So I would say those guys. Then defensively, our safety gets us lined up, so make sure we're in the right spot. Obviously, he always has to play well.
Right. Coach Webb, who has to play well for the Rebels tonight?
Strange, I'm going to say the same spot. I really do. They really, really are pretty good on offense, scoring a lot of points against a lot of people. And it's cliche, but the best defense is we got the football. And so if our offense is, if our offensive line so we can run the football and keep the ball on our side, their offense is over on the sideline. And so I do think it's huge for them. And then from there, I'm going to continue our punter. He is a game changer. He's been doing a great job in our special teams, and so we want Corey to continue kicking at the level he is, because he changes the field. He makes you, as a coach, go, should we go for it here? No, we can. He'll change the field, and it changes a lot of the way the game goes sometimes.
Will, do you think there's an advantage on a game like tonight to be the home team?
I personally enjoy the road atmosphere a little bit. We do things differently. When we're at home, we let them go home and we turn them loose and things of that nature. It always worries me what kind of mindset, what kind of attitude they're going to come back with. So when we're on the road, we're more confined. It's more of a business-like deal. Everything's more, I'm a structure guy, and I can keep everything more structured, more detail-oriented. So I like going on the road from that aspect. Obviously you get a little more of a jolt of the passion from the fans and things of that nature, but being in county, miles away, I think the crowd will be big on both sides, so I don't think that'll be as big a deal as if you're talking about an hour road trip or something like that. So, I like being the road team because of the business-like, the more structured atmosphere I can make, and then, with it being a short trip, I don't know that the home advantage is as big as it would be normally.
You agree, Coach Webb?
Except for those visitor locker rooms. But I do agree.
That is pretty awful.
But no, I do agree. Especially with high school kids, and there's so many things going through their minds. That obviously is probably what we don't want sometimes, to be honest. We want it, and the structure stays with you a little bit more on the road than it does at home. But that is the biggest thing is when you do go on the road, sometimes you don't know what you're getting into with the number of players that both of us have on our squad. You're taken to a place and trying to get dressed. And other than that, I agree with a lot he says.
I've talked to your principal before a couple times actually about wanting more seating out there at the Ravenwood Stadium. Is that something in which your quarterback club and boosters are contemplating doing fundraisers for, Will?
I think we've got the funds to do it. As far as getting it done and the amount of time we would need it done for this year would be the issue. So it's going to be done, I think, going forward in the future. With the home game we have coming up that they expect a fairly decent crowd for, they're trying to come up with some mobile alternatives. We have some, the one positive to the little bit of the success we've had starting out is, that it's kind of re-energized a fan base that's always been pretty strong. And, now where there's just run out of space, we're right at 2,000 students at Ravenwood now, and if 75% of them show up along with a parent and that sort of stuff, there's just really not enough space for them to go to. So it's a good problem to have.
Well, I've coached in a few games at Franklin High School and been there to watch several games. The crowd there just kind of encompasses the whole back of the end zone there all the way over to the visitor sideline, doesn't it, Coach Webb?
It does, and it should be one of those crowds tonight. We got the ropes up around the end zone, but it does. And there's been many games that I looked up and first thought, it's not that great of a crowd, and you came back out after warming up. And you're right, especially on the scoreboard side.
Right.
They really, really, it almost will take all the way over to where the Ravenwood will meet the Franklin kids. It's should be a great atmosphere tonight, and these kids deserve it because they work hard and it's for them, and it ought to be fun.
Right. Well, I'm going to get off tonight's game just for a little bit and ask some side questions. Coach Hester, how do you go about monitoring your players' grades?
Well, knock on wood, they do a pretty good job in the classroom, so it's not as big of an issue. But we are able to, with the grade program that we use, set up, basically put them in a class of mine, like a 9th period class or whatever.
Okay.
So that I then at that point have access to all their current grades, so I can check them through grade speed at any given time. So we monitor that on a weekly basis and try to stay on them that way. And that's the main thing. And then we have some students that being a former math teacher, I tutor several of our kids before school in math and then trying to get them ready for the ACT and things of that nature.
Okay.
So we just monitor them through the 9th period class and grade speed, basically.
Well, in our county, academics is very, very, very important, and our kids do a great job in the classroom. And when you put football playing out there, that extra, a lot of them excel, actually. I've found my players usually did better grades in the season than they did in the off season. Do you find that also, Coach Webb?
Yeah, it goes back with the structure
and
learning time management, which is what the bottom line they need to learn for college. And I'm the same way as Will. We get great access to look at them, and we look more as 9th and 10th graders to really, really, push them now. But this community and this county alone, those parents and those kids are here for a reason, and they know it. And so it's not like places I've been before where I look and go, oh no, we got this many ineligible. It's definitely not that here.
Right. Well, I'm going to give you a statement, and you tell me what comes to your mind first. Johnny football.
Backyard football. I had the pleasure of going to Oxford on Saturday and watching them play. I mean, very explosive. I mean, you're never out of the game with a player like Johnny Football.
Okay. Coach, I'm going to give you a defensive question.
All right.
Alabama.
Well, that's funny. All I was going to say was defense, but the first thing that comes to mind is like he's in the huddle with the offense. I mean, when you watch him play, they do an unbelievable job. Him and his assistants, and they got good players, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, but you watch some games and you can tell they've really, really scouted and worked it into those kids, understanding what scheme the offense is trying to do.
Mm-hmm. Will they be in the national championship again this year?
Oh yes.
Are you an Alabama fan?
No, absolutely not. I'm really hoping that somebody will knock them off.
I'm in that same boat. I want somebody besides Alabama to win this year, but they are a great program, and Coach Saban does a great job. Aaron Rodgers or Drew Brees?
I personally would rather have a Drew Brees guy, but I've never really been around one or coached one. But I seem to always be gravitated toward the Aaron Rodgers, the more of the gunslinger type player. So, but personally, I would rather have a Drew Brees.
Mm-hmm. Peyton Manning or Tom Brady?
Ooh. In this state, I'll get thrown out, but I'm going Tom Brady.
Well, after watching that drive that he took him down the field against New Orleans this past Sunday.
That would be a pleasure to have that choice, though, would it not?
Oh, would it
either
not?
One of those. I mean, gosh,
neither one of them is very mobile. They're going to have to sit back there and make their checks and throw the football when they get it to what they need to do. Here's a trivia question, Coach Hester. How many kids in the state of Tennessee signed Division I football scholarships last year?
I think we've actually had this conversation before. I don't know why this number comes to my head, but it's totally a guess. 37.
You're really close. How much you think, Coach?
Gosh, I was going to guess like 25.
You're too low. Yeah. 39 signed D1 football scholarships last year in the state of Tennessee. And I say that to follow up with, I think the state of Tennessee high school football is getting more recognition now. There's more and more kids, especially in the mid-state, that are making commitments to D1 programs, and you guys are doing a great job at your prospective schools. Best of luck tonight. There'll be a big crowd at Franklin High School. 7 o'clock game?
Yes, sir.
7 o'clock game. Thank you for joining us. 7 o'clock, Franklin High School, Ravenwood Raptors come to visit. I'm Jack Daniels, your host.
What a great way to get some exercise and spend time with your family. Hi, I'm Steve Hayslip.
And I'm his son, Paul Hayslip.
And today we're going to show you some rules of the road that you may not have thought about that apply to bike riders. Let's go. That's good. Good pace. On narrow roads like this, cyclists should leave at least 2 car lengths in between riders. That way the cars have room to get in between the cyclists and pass them individually. You take the lead. Stay to the right. When approaching a stop sign or a traffic light, if a car and cycle are arriving at the same time, the car needs to stay back just a bit, allowing the cyclist room to move in front into the turn lane. This allows the cyclist to turn left safely. If the lane is too narrow, or if the cyclists are traveling pretty much the same speed as traffic, then the cyclists have the right to come out and take the lane.
Just remember that everyone has a right to the roadway. It is a public road, but everyone has to observe the rules of the road. They apply to the motorists and the bicyclists alike.
Well, those are just some of the rules. Mainly, stay safe and have fun. And most of all,
Enjoy the ride.